¿Qué tal si cultivamos un Djbooth con 36 kilos de micelio de hongos? Este proyecto fue realizado por Tereza de Cock, una arquitecta de Bélgica, junto al arquitecto ecuatoriano Cristian Fernández del estudio arquitectónico 2850. En este video, la arquitecta Tereza de Cock nos va a hablar sobre cómo fue el paso a paso desde la construcción de los moldes, la selección del micelio, el modelamiento, la soldadura micelial, el secado, la implementación durante el evento, todo sobre cómo fue este proyecto. Esta es tan solo una de las 30 charlas que tuvimos en nuestro evento anual Micotecturas 2022, así que si te gustan los biomateriales, si quieres más hongos y más micelio en tu vida, síguenos y aquí te dejo con Teresa.
So on the 5th of October, Christian and I made the final decisions on the design, and this sketch is more or less showing the discussion we were having, going through how we would connect the table, so the upper part with the panels, both the wooden panels and the mycelium panels. And after discussing this, we decided, okay, it's time to begin to make the molds and the framework. But first we had to calculate the amount of mycelium we needed. And we came about 35 kilos, which in the end turned out to be less, probably because we somehow didn't have the exact dimensions, maybe a bit less in height. But we decided to mix our mycelium with a second substrate to expand it in order to be able to use less mycelium. The mycelium we used is Ganoderma lucidum, colonized in a substrate of sawdust or acerine. And this is our G2, our generation 2 mycelium. But in order not to have to use too much, we wanted to expand it with paja de cerveza. And this beer waste we received from Camilo, a friend who is brewing his own beers. And so we used an expansion factor of 75%. This means we added 25% of the weight of the mycelium with the beer waste. So in total we gained a total of 30 kilos, from which the 25 kilos were the G2, and then the expansion of about 5 kilos with the paja. And the week of the 24th of October, we worked on the framework, so the creation of the molds. We did this together with Francisco, a student who is working at Studio 2850. So we cut the whole panels. We made the table, we cut everything in the right size. The panels were about 50 on 70 and the table 120 on 45. And we also made some panels to press the mycelium in the molds to make it a bit stronger. And for the tubes, we used PVC, and it is cut in half in the right angle to make the triangular shape. And then in order to also protect the wood, we had to lacquer it with oil, some natural oil for wood. And so the molds were made and we were ready to start the modeling. But first, as I explained before, we had some ideas on how to connect the table with the panels, and we needed bolts like this one you can see on the picture. But we weren't sure if it would work, so we did a small test, and we put a bolt inside of it and waited a few days to see how it would react. And I don't have a picture of the results, but it turned out well, so we decided to continue with the metal bolts. And then it was 31st of October, the big day on which we started the modeling. And of course, in order to start working with mycelium, you have to be careful cleaning everything. because it can get contaminated. So we started with a clean workspace, spraying alcohol on the tables, putting on gloves, putting on a lab coat, putting on the flow hood that Nelson has in his office. But also we had to clean the floor because we were working with quite big elements. We couldn't do it on the tables. So we used the floor and we put a plastic. We even put out our shoes, clean our feet, and cleaned all the molds we have and all the tools we used with alcohol of 70%. And then it was time to start breaking the mycelium. So the Ganoderma lucidum. And this is the generation 2 that I am breaking in the picture. We had some bags, but they were not completely colonized. So we decided to only use the part that was colonized and leave the other part to colonize more. This turned out to be very good. I will tell you later. And so it was super fresh and we could easily break it. It was super good mycelium. We did need 25 kilos, so it took some time to break everything. And then we used the straw, the paja, the 25% of bio-waste. And we mixed it together with the generation 2, so we created the generation 3 mycelium. And we got 30 kilos in total. And then it was time to start the modeling. So here you can see I'm modeling the tubes, pressing it with my hands, using gloves, wearing a lab coat and everything. And the other video is showing how Christian is pressing the wooden plates to get an equal surface. Also, because we were using wood, we had to put a plastic inside of it and also wipe it with alcohol and put some oil in it so it wouldn't, so the panels wouldn't stick to it when we were planning on demolding it. Okay. So that's like the final image of the modeling. And then, as I was talking about, we had the idea of attaching the table with these kind of bolts. So we had to put them in the table. So on the right, the exact spots, so that we can have the holes to have the holes in the table. Like this, you can see it here. This is showing like the two angles on which the two panels will come. And then after finishing the table, the tubes and the panels, it was time to wrap everything together. And also you can see on this picture, the tubes were missing some parts of some shoe, because we had to model it, but we had to prepare some shoe so the mycelium wouldn't fall out. And we made with a cardboard, super easy, just wrapped it with tape. So you can see it on the picture. And then we wrapped everything into thick plastic, thick black plastic, and sealed it off with tape, leaving some air holes for oxygen as well. And yeah, like this. And then you were placed in the office on a temperature of about 26 degrees. At least that's the objective, because we know that the strain we used, Ganoderma lucidum, it grows well at 26 degrees. it can also grow at 20 degrees, but it takes more time, about 6 days. While when it grows at 26 degrees, it takes maybe only 3 days. But since it's not easy to regulate the temperature for in the space we had, we tried to maintain a temperature of 26 degrees. And it's also, they're quite big, so it took some more time to grow. And yeah, they were placed in the office, and once the object enters the humid chamber, meaning the plastic wrapping, it will release its own humidity and it will stay recirculating. So we didn't add any water, so it was just maintaining its own humidity. And then after 3 days, I went to check to see how far it had grown. And we did encounter some minor problems. The first batches were super good, like this one panel, super beautiful, like really perfect. No contamination, like very nicely grown. And Camila took like some really beautiful picture of a zoom in. And then the table was also really nice, also grown super good. But then we had about 3 panels and some of the tubes that hadn't grown so great. Somehow, we don't know exactly why, part of the panels didn't grow completely. Maybe it was the oxygen. We don't know exactly. It's a bit strange. Also, we smelled it and didn't smell like it was contaminated. So, yeah. Also the tubes, like this one. This is another panel. And this is like another nice picture of Camilo showing like how it's not colonized. And then a part of the tubes that is not colonized. And so we decided to try like a magic trick, a new technique that Nelson never tried before. We called it patchwork. And we decided to take out the bad parts and replace it with the mycelium that we didn't use in the beginning. So the mycelium that was not colonized, but from the same batch had now colonized, so we could use it. So it was super convenient that we still had some similar mycelium. And so we decided to fill it up with this one. Like you can see in the video.
Estamos en la operación con Teresa. Esto es curioso porque estamos... Pues este micelio está bastante bien, o sea, es parte de una obra interesante, pero hay un pedacito que no colonizó y estamos viendo qué hacemos con eso.
Yeah, so it was like being in an operation room, like a mycelium doctor. And so then it was time to pray to see if it would work. And 4 days later, so 1 week after the modeling, we got together again, and everything was ready to demold. So we so it was a big revelation to see if it had worked. And in this video, we're unwrapping the tubes.
Si algo sale mal. Estos zafó. ¿Estos todos tenían hueco o no todos?
¿Cómo hueco?
Porque yo vi un tubo con hueco.
Let's see the other one. Ay, Dios mío.
Qué loco. Espera, esto hay que tomar foto. Qué hijo de su madre.
Say something. No.
So it was super nice. Everything had grown super beautiful.
Esta escena.
Like the table as well, which we took out and we demolded. And the tubes, like we were super happy. It looked beautiful. And then it was time for the soldadura, for the welding. And this was kind of the most exciting part of the project, because if the welding would not work, the structure would not work. So of course, first it's all about cleaning the plastic again, and also putting some oil so it's not sticking. And then once one after one, we demolded and we put it next to each other, just next to each other. We didn't put any tension or press super hard. We just put it next to each other. And then we also put on the tubes, the triangles, demolded them, tried to align them as best as possible, like this. And we decided to shift them a bit. So our first idea was to have one panel, one triangle, but then we decided that it was better to have like one triangle connecting two panels. So we had to cut one part like at the end and put it on the other end. So this is what Christian is doing on the picture. And this is us. Only, I think, like 2 weeks ago. And then, yes, it was time to wrap it up again, make another package, another humid chamber, and let it dry for another week. And then 1 week later, 14th of November, we were super excited because we wanted to know if the welding had worked. So after 1 week, the table had also grown super nice, even a bit more colonized. We took out the bolts as well, leaving the holes. And then this was like super nice. You can see the left picture is from the week before. So, and then the right picture is the welding, and it had worked super nice. It had grown together, both the panels as the triangles. They had all connected only in 1 week, so it's pretty cool. And I have some zoom-ins, like here you can see as well some more. And Nelson was also super happy. Like this one, where here you can see like the two panels growing together. And the shoes, like the feet, they're not perfect. They were also not like aligned perfectly, and only the part where it's touching, it had grown together. So Christian and I we are still thinking on how to make it a bit stronger. So we will probably use an extra structure. And then it was, that's it. Like we are drying it at the moment. Like it's now drying, both of them, both the panels and the table. It's both drying for another week. And then on the 26th of November, we will try to have installed everything. And so anyone who is interested to see the Djbooth in real life should come to Micotectures on the 26th of November. for the big revelation of the Djbooth. So yeah, the process has been super interesting. So let's see